Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you here today to the third annual Because of You luncheon, because it truly is because of you that we're able to do the great things we do at the Humane Society. My name is Dave Norris. I'm the Vice President of the Board of Directors. I also chair the committee that put on this event today, and we're really pleased that we have such a great turnout today. I think you're really going to enjoy our afternoon together, or hour or so together. We're going to tell you a little bit about what's been going on with the Humane Society, as well as in the community, to support the animals in the Manatee County. Also, several of the speakers are going to be sharing personal stories about their own animals. I want to thank the sponsor for today's luncheon, Total Document Management. They are covering the cost of today's lunch. Thank you very much. They are also the printer and copier servicer for the Humane Society. We are also delighted to be here at the Renaissance on 9th, supporting another nonprofit in the community, where I'm sure you will enjoy a wonderful luncheon put on by the award-winning chef. Please continue to enjoy your lunch throughout the program. This event is our opportunity to say thank you to many individuals and organizations who support the Humane Society throughout the year. We know that you understand the importance of what we do, and as well as what the Humane Society stands for in the community. As many folks probably know or may not know, the Humane Society does not receive any sort of funding from any sort of government agencies or any tax dollars, nor do we receive anything from the Humane Society of the United States. You see those great commercials all the time, and before I became a board member, I assumed that some of that money was funneling down to the local organizations, but it really is not. We're actually in the middle of our annual fundraising campaign right now that really is what we need to generate additional dollars to support the shelter and the adoption costs. Everyone who is going to speak today is going to share a little personal story about their animals, and I get to lead off with that. I've been on the board of the Humane Society for about 3 years now, and shortly after I joined the board, was at a board meeting, and one of the other board members was talking about how he had recently lost his pet. Somebody suggested, oh, let's go downstairs and see what's down there. And I certainly was not looking to add a new animal to my family, but decided to go along anyway. And of course, as soon as I walk in, you hear all these dogs barking, so excited to see us, wanting some attention. And there's my little buddy Winston sitting there scared to death. He was about 9 months old, and I think had been there for about 3 or 4 days. So obviously I saw those big brown eyes and said, I got to take him home. So he's been probably the best dog I've ever had. And of course, I've said that about all my dogs. But Winston loves to sit on the porch. That last picture was him sitting on the porch. And when he's not on the porch, he likes to be in the water or on the boat. He loves to ride on the bow of the boat. And right here, we're at Jewfish Key. As soon as he gets close to the sandbar, he dives off the front and swims in to go play with his other dogs. And absolutely a great buddy. That's his standard on the porch sitting. But thank you again for coming today, and thank you for your support. Now I'd like to introduce Amy Vandell, our Executive Director of the Humane Society. Amy?
He's a little taller than me. Thank you, David. Well, here we are again. Boy, the time just goes by faster and faster, doesn't it? I can't believe a year ago we were together for this event over at the Marriott, and we had such a wonderful turnout. And here we are again today, and it's so wonderful to see everybody here. Oh, there's my picture already. I already did that. Well, I think a little bit of today, and I can already tell by some of your comments and some of your reactions to some of the pictures that you've seen, is going to be preaching to the choir. But that's okay, right? We're all animal people here. And I thought about a couple of things that make you know that you're an animal person. And see if you agree with some of these. If you put holes in perfectly good doors, you're probably an animal person. Maybe even you block off windows just to make it exclusively for them. If you buy special beds for your animals, but then they use your furniture and you don't mind, you might be an animal person. If you buy large, expensive furniture that you have no way of using for yourself at all, but obviously is enjoyed by some members of the family, you might be an animal person. And if you spend more on your pet sitter or your boarding of your animals when you go on vacation than you spend on yourself, you might be an animal person. All right. I knew I would have some people here agreeing with that. You know, we are animal people. We are all concerned with the health and the well-being of animals because we know it's important to people and it's important to the quality of life in Manatee County, as well, of course, as the animals. We want to prevent the suffering of homeless animals. We want to renew the health of animals and pets, help them find new homes, and provide pet education and compassion to the owners when they find themselves in a difficult place. That's what we do, and we can't do it alone, and that's why all of you are so important. In the past year, what's my next picture? Oh, and then here's some other folks at home. That's my dog Tanner and a little foster puppy who was adopted by people right here at this table, the Coopers. That is Ellie, yes. I have been a foster failure because Tanner, I was also fostering. He now rules the roost. And there's our little Zoe. Jerry Kuntz remembers that puppy. I actually acquired that puppy at the United Way Wine Fest one year from somebody who thought they wanted a puppy and then a few weeks later decided they couldn't keep it. She's now about 10 years old at my house. And she rules the roost too. But in the past year, we have had made significant strides. We have worked together with the other animal welfare agencies in the community. More animals are coming out of the county shelter alive than ever before, and we're so happy to see that. The concerted efforts of rescue organizations and shelters working together is paying off. Many groups are taking animals out of the county shelter and into their adoption programs whenever they can and whenever they have space, and that has helped. Thanks to the funding of the Bishop SPCA, makes available to the Humane Society Spay-Neuter Clinic, local rescue organizations can have free spay and neuter surgery done for animals that they're putting up for adoption through their programs, and we're so thankful for that. When rescue organizations can save money on services, they have more funding available to bring in more pets and cover other costs. As we know, sheltering is very expensive. The Humane Society has completed nearly 500 spay-neuter surgeries just for pit bulls in the last 2 years. And that's thanks to a grant from PetSmart Charities. And they were also all microchipped, so they will be able to be returned to their homes if they happen to be stray or picked up by animal services. As you all know, pit bulls are overrepresented in our county population at the shelter, but we are seeing that the effect of the rescue organizations taking them out and our 2-year targeted pit bull grant, along with other efforts, is showing some very positive results. Less pit bulls are being turned in, and more are getting out alive. So to kindly give a quick recap of the year, about this time, or right before this event last year, we purchased this building right here. This is the Humane Society. There's dog shelters here, our clinic, our administrative offices. This little building in the middle is the cat cottage. And we purchased this building that was formerly the Salvation Army thrift store in November of last year. And we started to plan to expand our clinic, and because our clinic at that time had about a 3 to 4 week wait time for a spay-neuter appointment. We were very overbooked, and we knew that we needed more space to serve the community that we needed for low-cost, high-quality spay-neuter. We were not really sure what we were going to do with the building right away. That soon passed. In early February, many of you will know that there was a major seizure case by the sheriff's office out east, and there was a lot of animals, over 300 animals, that needed to find someplace to go. We found a use for that building. We took 34 dogs. And if we had not had that building in February, when it was cold, we would not have had any place to take them inside, even though these dogs had been living outside for as long as they had been there, and some had been there for a very long time. We learned a lot from rescuing that large number of dogs. We had tremendous support from the public, fosters, volunteers. We made connections with trainers and behaviorists who offered assistance to us. And we were able to get almost all of those. We have like 2 dogs still that with some behavior issues that are being worked with intensively. And they're sort of part of our family now. But all the other dogs have been adopted or are in foster in a loving home. And that's how some of them looked when they first got here. I knew you'd recognize that one, Peggy. And they're all doing well. And it was very exciting to see our staff, both the clinic staff and the shelter staff, work so hard together, knowing that these dogs really needed help. We were excited about our Pause in Motion, our second Pause in Motion walkathon on the riverfront, which is a wonderful fundraiser that we do in March. And we're so thankful to the city of Bradenton, and I want to recognize Patrick Roth, who's here, our councilman from our area. Thank you so much for coming. Helps us with that each year so we can have a fantastic fundraiser walkathon on the Riverwalk, complete with this doggy fun zone. The doggy fun zone is like Disney World for dogs. You should bring your dogs out. Anybody who walks in the walkathon and registers gets to have their dog take a try at the skills of following this lure course after the walkathon, and it's lots and lots of fun. And we have, it's such a beautiful spot. We do our awards presentation, we have vendors, and of course we are still we're looking now for sponsors, and we will have our website up January 1st so people can start registering their teams for that. But little did we know, on that same day, one of those dogs that was rescued was pregnant. Well, we knew that she was pregnant, but we didn't realize that she was going to give birth on that day, the same day as our huge Pause in Motion walkathon. And we realized in a short time she wasn't going to do it on her own. She needed an emergency C-section. Our vet, Dr. Julie Holyfield, who had been at the walkathon all day, had to come back in and perform an emergency C-section. 4 puppies were born, but only 2 survived. The puppies were adorable, as you can see, and that's Dr. Holyfield. And quickly, people had their dibs on those puppies. The pups were then doing fine, and that's just a testimony of what good can come out of that really horrible situation that they were in. And you will hear more about these little gems, little miracle puppies that would not have made it where they were if they hadn't been rescued a little bit later. In a couple weeks after that, we had our fundraising dinner and auction. That's our other big event that we do in the spring. We called it Mardi Paws of Manatee. And it's a Mardi Gras themed event. We have a fortune teller and gumbo boogie band, and it's really fun. And we're going to do it again this year. We do it at Mixon's in the Grove, and it's going to be on April 10th. And I hope that you can all come because it was so much fun last year. So now, I'm going to lose my space here. We have for you a very special treat. And I'm going to introduce somebody who's going to introduce some friends that have been made through the internet that have connected today for the first time. And this is a little, if you saw any of my emails, reunion that you're going to see. I would like to invite Michael Padula, who is one of our adopters. He also rescued from another hoarding situation and was in our video that we showed at previous years, and he's coming up with his dog, Kinley.
Okay. Well, hello, my name is Michael. This is Kinley. We adopted Kinley in March of 2012. I wasn't actually looking for another dog when I found Kinley. I was just one Saturday morning, I was just playing on the computer and looking at dogs and just looking at stuff in general, and I came across Kinley's photo on the Humane Society's webpage, and I decided to drive down here from Polk City just to look at her, to see her. And once we got there and I seen her, and I was talking to Travis and some of the people there, and they explained to me, where she came from and the horrible conditions that she had, and she was heartworm positive, and she was very skinny. She was scared to death of everybody, and at that moment I decided I wasn't leaving without her, so here she is. I mean, they explained to me the treatments for heartworms and the fact that it's, not a guaranteed cure, and that, she might not even survive the treatments. But again, we decided that, even if, she only lives for a short time, that we're going to give her a good home, even if it was, short-lived. But we're happy to say that she went through her heartworm treatments and she came out perfectly fine. I mean, she's got her little purple heart, which we're really proud of. I mean, she's become a great companion. I mean, she's got 3 sisters at home that, she's best friends with. She's kind of upset right now because one of her favorite sisters isn't with her right now, but I'm kind of going off what I had wrote here a little bit, but, but when I brought her back for a visit, it was right about the time they rescued those other 34 dogs, and I brought her for a visit, and of course I had to go and see all those dogs. And obviously we wanted to take them all home with us, but that wasn't an option. But I found out that Hansel and Gretel, the 2 Boston Terriers, the one that was pregnant, we found out about her. I have a friend of mine, her name is Valerie. I work with her, and she recently lost a dog, and she has a Boston Terrier at home, and she was looking for another one. So when I found out that Gretel was pregnant, I talked to the Humane Society, and I said, I have somebody that will adopt one of those puppies when they're ready. So when the puppies were born, we came down, and of course my friend Valerie adopted one of the puppies that was, born through that emergency C-section, one of those 2 cute little puppies that were on the screen there. We wouldn't have Kinley, and they wouldn't have those little puppies if it wasn't for the volunteers and everybody that works at the Humane Society, and obviously all the generous donations that they received, which enables them to take care of all these animals. A lot of the animals that come to the Humane Society, basically for the most part, that's probably the first humane treatment any of those animals have ever had in their entire lives. A lot of them come from really bad situations. They're abused. They have no idea what it's like to, have human compassion. I mean, Kinley was a really good example of that. For the first year that we had her, you couldn't pet her, you couldn't hold her. She just had no idea what it was like to have that. So, we gave her space. I tried to pick her up and she would walk away, and I just figured she's not going to be a lap dog like the other ones that I have, but still I knew she was at least in a happy home. But little by little, over the course of a year, she came out of her shell, and she would come and sit with me voluntarily for a minute or 2, and she'd get up and leave. And now she is like glued to my side. And if I get up and walk across the room, she'll walk with me. If I leave one room in the house and go to another, she's a step behind me. We have doggy doors in the house so they can come and go. She's the first one out of the gate every night when I come home from work. And from the minute it takes me to walk from my truck into the house, she's already in the house waiting for me at the front door. So she's come a long way from what she was. That's about all I have to say. My friend Valerie and Leanne, those are the 2 that adopted the other 2 Boston puppies that you've seen. A few months back, they met each other online, and they became Facebook friends, and they've been waiting anxiously for this moment so they can meet each other and have the dogs meet. So, we would actually like to bring those out so that you can meet them and their dogs. You get to see how well the dogs are doing. You just see them in the pictures, and they're out back just waiting to come out so we can meet them. So, this is Valerie and Olivia, and this is Leanne, and that's Finley. And these are the 2 cute little puppies that you just seen, all grown up, and they're mating for the first time, and the dogs have, acted like they've known each other their whole lives. And Valerie wants to say a few words.
Hi, I'm Valerie, and this is Olivia. I wish to start off with thanking the Humane Society of Manatee County for rescuing Olivia's mother and father, as without them, I would not have my second child. I am very excited to be given the opportunity of reuniting Livy and her real brother, Finley, along with meeting Leanne as mother. I am hoping that we will be able to stay in touch with each other and share our dog's stories. Livy has been a wonderful addition to my family. She has a brother, Toby, whom is a 2-year-old Boston. They spend their days playing and sleeping together on the couch. In fact, Toby's going to be angry when we get home tonight, as I didn't invite him to come with us. So I'm going to have to give him a special forgiveness treat. My first Boston was Peanut, and he was with me for 12 years. Since then, I've been hooked on the breed. I am very grateful for everyone involved within this organization, from the care and concern at the shelter to the veterinary services and the volunteers that give their time every day. Needless to say, none of this would have happened without the funding and generosity of people like you, as services like this would not be possible. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Leanne, and this is Finley, Olivia's brother. We just want to say thank you to the Humane Society and to the generous donors like yourself that made it possible for them to take in the animals from just on a daily basis, but also from extreme situations, and give them the care that they need and give, it doesn't even matter what I'm saying, right? And to give them the care that they need, and gave Finley's mom and Finley's dad the ability to give birth to them, and that we could adopt them. So we want to thank Travis for letting me adopt her, and Amy for really running this whole Humane Society, and Christine for letting us come here today, and really reuniting Val and Olivia, myself, and Finley. So, and thank you, Michael, too. Michael helped get us together. So thank you all so much. There you go.
Wasn't that special? I knew that would be a fun dog reunion and people reunion too. Actually, they had never met, but they had communicated on Facebook, which is so wonderful. Next, I would like to introduce one of our staff people. You're looking at her right there. Her name is Madison Dickey. She started out as a volunteer for the Humane Society. She took part in our foster kitten program, caring for underage kittens in her home until they were old enough to come back to the shelter to be placed into the adoption program. Madison and her mom fostered many litters of kittens for us. Although Madison is slightly allergic to cats, she did wind up adopting one of her first foster kittens, Milo, from the Humane Society. Some people call that a foster failure, but we like to call it a foster success, since Milo found his forever home with Madison. Madison later became one of our volunteer dog walkers, and her love of animals was apparent to us. Madison was great handling the dogs, and with her friendly, bubbly personality, as you can see, we recruited her to come work for us during her summer break from school. When Madison returned from school in the fall, we were lucky enough to have her take part in a school program where she received further on-the-job training with the Humane Society, and she continued to work for us throughout the school year. Madison has since graduated from high school and is continuing to work part-time with us while she's attending college. Madison is a great asset to our team, and we are very lucky to have her. And of course, after working with our dogs, Madison also adopted a shelter dog from us as well to add to her family. This is written by Travis Jones, our shelter manager, who is so appreciative of having Madison on her staff, and she does a fantastic job. And Madison is going to tell us a little bit about, you know, the Boston puppies. They were going to fly out of there no matter what, but not every animal leaves the shelter so quickly. And Madison is going to share a special story about Stella. Please welcome her.
Hello. All right, so I just have a little something that I wrote about Stella after she got adopted. Some journeys take longer than others. For one of our shelter's longtime residents, her journey home took much longer than expected. It all started in December of 2012 with the transfer of several new dogs to the shelter from Manatee County Animal Services. Little did the staff know that this sweet 2-year-old Chow Chow, eventually named Stella, was going to try our faith along with hers and our ability to find her a new home. Soon after her arrival, it was obvious that she had her own ways of doing things and expected everyone to follow along. After 2 failed adoptions, it was clear that Stella would be happiest as an only dog where she could shower lots of love on her family. Stella was back in her kennel at the Humane Society, getting brushed daily, along with hugs and kisses from the staff who loved her. After such a length of time, we knew many places would have considered their options, but that was something we could never do to such a beautiful and misunderstood dog. It was not until the late summer of 2014 when we started receiving emails from a potential family interested in Stella who had seen our profile on our website. After corresponding for a few weeks and offering all the information we had, finally an appointment was made for the family to come and meet her. They lived 2 hours away. Everyone at the shelter was walking on eggshells that day, keeping their fingers crossed that this potential family would look past all of Stella's quirks and see her for the loving and loyal soul that she is. Luckily, it was love at first sight for all involved. Stella ran to her new mom and dad as if she had known them her whole life, which brought tears to not only her new mom's eyes, but also her family's at the shelter. This holiday season will be her first of many at her wonderful new home. Many people rooted for Stella over the year and 9 months she stayed with us, which is why monetary and tangible donations are so important. Without the help of our community, we would not be able to take care of such special dogs like Stella for such a length of time. Great thanks and happy holidays from our past adoptees like Stella, the shelter staff, and our furry loved ones still waiting for their families. Thank you.
Didn't she do great? She really wrote a great story about Stella. And you can see that Stella was absolutely in love with her. All right. I would like to ask Miss Xtavia Bailey to please make her way up here. Xtavia Bailey is one of our board members, and she's going to tell you a little bit of her personal story about animals.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start speaking about Buster and Twiki, I want to give a little story about my first adoption. Actually, I got him for my 20th birthday, and I had it at my first apartment in Carlton Arms, and my mom said I came to her house too much, so she got me a dog. He was a rescue, and he was like a Chihuahua, and I don't remember the other mix he was, but he was pure white, so we named him Snowball. Well, to fast forward this story, I had an overnight job, and of course, when you get your first baby, you cannot leave your baby home because the baby needs to eat overnight and you have to check on him. So every evening, I would drive to my mother's home and drop Snowball off. I got a call one night and she said, Xtavia, you need to bring me like 3 or 4 bags of cough drops. And I said, for what, Mommy? If you're that sick, just go to the doctor. She says, no, Snowball is going in my purse eating my cough drops. And he only liked lemon because we tried the cherry and he wouldn't eat those. But I wanted to talk about like the purpose of animals and what they mean and what they're here for. And my house burnt down that I grew up in. And my mother had went to pick up my younger sisters from school. And my grandmother, she was able to be there by herself. And we had an electrical fire, and Snowball was the only one there with my grandmother. Well, when the smoke started getting very, very heavy, my grandmother was asleep, and he went into the room and began to bark, she said. And that was the only reason that my grandmother woke up and was able to get out the house. I was the one that got the phone call because they couldn't get in contact with my mom. So when I arrived to the house, the firefighter told me, he says, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is your grandmother made it out. The bad news is Snowball, my dog, didn't. He actually died at the door trying to get out. But he was able to get my grandmother out. So you never know how these dogs, I know they don't talk, but they have a connection with us. And what we do and the mission that we have at the Humane Society is just amazing because you never know what animal will be able to save someone's life. Now, I have Tweaky and Buster in here, and Amy had to come to my house yesterday because my pictures didn't work. But Tweaky, just remember I'm saying this, he wobbles a lot, and he's always pulling me. He's a miniature pinscher, and I walked into the Humane Society, and it was supposed to be actually a gift from my husband, but it was actually for me. But when I walked in, as I've heard some of you say, you know that dog that's supposed, or that cat that's supposed to come home with you, because all the dogs were barking, but this little one right here was just like, you're gonna take me home tonight. And I tried to get away, and I said, oh, I'll come back, because I knew my husband probably wanted a bigger dog. So we took Tweaky, and we didn't change his name because he walks through the house and he's always tweaking on the floor. So we kept the name, but he's like a little major because he thinks he's so big. He flips over his bowls when I don't feed him on time. I come home and the bowls are across in the kitchen. I noticed that Tweaky needed a partner, so we went down to Northport and actually rescued Buster. Buster actually was breeded by some people down in Northport that was actually doing it illegally, and they were not taking care of him. And we actually got him at 9 weeks old. And it was in dire need to get him into a family that was going to make sure that he was able to be taken care of. But I give this story real quick because I'm all about trying to explain why animals are so important. I've had lupus for 20 years, and if you know anything about animals, they learn who you are. It's like raising kids, and they kind of, do the same things. You teach them lessons, and they kind of follow you. Well, I was home by myself one day, and I wasn't feeling too good. And I had my cell phone, and I had my portable phone. And I began to walk to the bathroom with my walker, and I end up falling down. Well, the phone's hit like right next to my hand, and I was trying to push redial to call my husband. So I was able to push redial, and I couldn't really speak to him. And I just was kind of moaning, but the dogs were barking and barking and barking. So this connection actually went off. Well, remember I told you that Tweaky's a wobbler. I know this is crazy and it sounds like really, really hard to believe, but he wobbled and fell onto the phone, and it called my husband back. It's funny now, though. And so my husband was able to call our neighbor next door, and she had a key, and she came over, and she seen that there was an issue, and I was able to get to the hospital and actually had a blood clot in my lungs. But if it wasn't for my dog being able to wobble, I guess, and call my husband back. But I just want to say before I end is that my animals mean the world to me. I don't have any birth children, but these are my kids. I take them everywhere I go. They have their shots, they have their food, they have their clothes, they like dressing. They actually put their paws in their clothes when I change them. See, he has on his little red. I wish they were girls, because then I can put on like diva stuff, but I tried to put pink on Buster, but he didn't like it. But as a board member, I just want to thank you so much because of you, we would not be able to do anything, whether you're a volunteer or you're sponsoring a cat condo. We appreciate everything you do, because it just gives us a little bit more to go out into our community and help our animals that are here. And that's the end of my story. I'm going to introduce the best president of the nonprofit, Miss Rebecca Neal. She is our board chair.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate everyone here. And I also want to say thank you to our board members. If you could stand up and make yourself known. And Take a look around. Those are our board members. Thank you. And I also want to give a really special thank you to Christy Zell, another of our board members. Where is Chris? She's over there. She put together all of this media for us, and she just always does an excellent job. So we really thank you for that. Thanks. So like everyone else, I was asked to bring some pictures of my animals. And this is Abel with our daughter, Betsy, 8 years ago. It's my husband sitting over here, and she is our firstborn. And you can see from our dog's face, he says, "What did you get us into?" But he's a trooper. And there's Caitlin with Patches. Patches is somewhere around 15 years old, and he is missing an eye on that side. That's not an illusion. So who else do we have here? These are some foster kittens. The girls and I and John sometimes will help with foster kittens. We do a litter every year, and we love it. And they get to go on to homes, and it's a great experience for my kids as well. And there's Abel with Betsy, all grown up. There they are, dressed up for Halloween. So that's 8 years later. And who else do we have? Oh, that was it. So, but yeah, so animals bring so much to our lives, like all of you know. But I get the privilege today too to talk about what is coming for us in the year ahead, because we have a lot of exciting plans. Amy told you about our building that we were able to purchase. Last year, we were in the process of remodeling that to become our new clinic. Our clinic will double, our surgery capacity will double. The size of itself is really about tripled. And we're also going to be able to add vet services, low-cost vet services for the community, which no animal welfare organization currently is able to offer. So we're so excited to be able to do that. And Amy also mentioned that the PetSmart grant, where we were able to spay and neuter, I think it was 400 or 500 pit bulls so far. We just found out yesterday that we were approved for another round for 300 pit bulls in the next year. So that's really great. It's really where the impact is made. So the other program that we have coming down the pipe is called Pets for Life, and it's a program through the Humane Society of the United States. And we received a grant through the Bill and Marianne Vinyl Fund through the Manatee Community Foundation. And this is really exciting because it's going to allow us to hire a community outreach coordinator who will be able to coordinate all of the different resources in Manatee County through all the different animal welfare organizations that are out there, and really be able to target the pet owners that are truly in need. Maybe they don't know what's available to them. Maybe they just can't get to what is available to them. But being able to reach out to those people and ultimately prevent those animals from ending up at animal services, because this is really where the majority of the animals are coming from that end up homeless. So our clinic to date has done somewhere around 30,000 spay-neuter surgeries, and close to a third are totally free to people. And of course, all of it is low cost. And thankfully, the clinic can support itself financially. I mean, especially once we open this new clinic, we want to be able to turn that over, and so that we can get to the point where we turn away no animal that needs medical care. Anybody that comes, we can help them. And so the clinic is fortunate enough with that. But our shelter is a little bit of a different story, and I like to call the shelter and our adoption program a true charity case, because every animal that we take in costs between $300 and $500, sometimes more. And for an adoption fee can range from anywhere from $75 to free. So you can see that there is a significant gap there to be able to continue doing what we do. And I will say, we have to work hard to make that money every year, but we love it. We love to do it. That's why the Humane Society exists. That's really, the shelter and the adoptions are really at our core and our greatest need to fulfill. So, while we have you all here today, I will also let you know that we have a $10,000 matching grant today, again, through the Manatee Community Foundation and anonymous donor. So any donation that you make today, upwards of $10,000, is matched. So it's a really great opportunity. Yes. And it's a great thing for our annual, to finish off our annual campaign. So at each table we have a table captain, and they're gonna hand out some information packet if you would like to make a donation today, and we also accept credit cards and debit cards if that is something easier for you. But we really appreciate that. And then one last thank you before I let all of you go. And this is from a very dedicated group of people who could not be here today. And that's because they are back at the shop taking care of all the animals. So, oh, okay. We're gonna show them here on the screen if the technology gods are with us today. Maybe not. So, okay. Well, we have a camera back at the shelter in the clinic, and they're all gonna be waving to us and saying thank you. Well, it was a great idea. But again, I wanna say thank you. It is because of you that we're able to do what we do for these animals every day. So I appreciate you being here and everything that you do. So thank you.